Welcome back to Ryder Cup Live on RyderCup.com, and we are live back at the first tee. And what a scene that is at Le Golf National. We'll be covering the afternoon four balls. Beg your pardon, foursome matches this afternoon. Luke Elvey alongside Billy Cratchit. The 42nd Ryder Cup here from Paris, France. And what a scene we'll have. The match will be focused on Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose up against Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler. The Americans picking up a point in their matches, but Rose and Stenson, what a combination they've been for Europe. 1-1 in foursomes competition, Billy Cratchit, but a formidable force.
And you would think so in this format, especially with the way that Stenson drives the ball, the amount of greens he's going to hit in regulation. He's going to give his partner, Justin Rose, plenty of opportunities for birdie. And, of course, the way that Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler went out this morning and played so well, you would think that their good play is going to continue in this match.
Of course, it is the alternate shot format, so Dustin Johnson will be teeing off on the odd holes for Team USA. A very smart play.
Yeah, good start. Certainly.
Europe.
Certainly a positional tee shot.
Justin Rose perhaps a little shell-shocked after losing the point in the four-ball matches this morning. They led all the way until that final hole. So he'll have the honour of teeing off the odd holes.
Actually really hit a quality shot on the final hole of his morning match and went over into the hazard. Okay.
The referee for this match is Mark Litton.
So our lead match underway as we welcome you back into the studio. Hello, I'm Luke Elvey. Great to have your company alongside Billy Cratchit for the afternoon matches. Of course, these are the foursomes or alternate shot matches after this morning's wave went out in four ball. And Billy Cratchit, this Ryder Cup had so much anticipation around it. Would America finally end that 25-year drought on European soil? Well, they're off to a great start winning those opening matches 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1. I mean, that's a big lead, and it was big for the American team to get out there and get that 3-1 lead. And when you look at this format, you know, the as you say, alternate shot, but it's hard. And if you get a rhythm going forward early and that carries over, you can clock someone. I mean, you can get it going to where all of a sudden you just roll up hole after hole and you can eliminate somebody quickly. But it's also a format that you have to be very patient.
Well, let's have a look at these afternoon matches, and the showdown we're covering is the opening match, and we've talked about Stenson and Rose being such a formidable team for Europe in this competition. They've gone 1-1 in foursomes matches. They've played two, once in 2014 at Gleneagles and then in 2016 as Hazeltine, where they were beaten by Spieth and Reed. A couple of good matches after that as well. What do you like? We've got McIlroy going out against, where he's playing alongside Ian Poulter against Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson. Bubba, though, not renowned really for his foursomes play.
No, and but he's playing alongside Webb Simpson, and I think that's, even though you watch Webb on the golf course, I think it's going to be a calming effect for this pairing. They're good friends. They have a lot in common. I think Teddy Scott and Paul Tesori, the two caddies, are going to have to keep these guys in check. But I'm really surprised at the way McIlroy played in that opening match. Played very poorly, and maybe he needs someone like an Ian Poulter to pull him along and get him going.
Yeah, he is the Ryder Cup for Europe, isn't he? Great to have him back in action. Captain Furyk, we were unsure whether he'd bring Phil Mickelson into the competition. He's partnering rookie Bryson DeChambeau up against Sergio Garcia and Alex Noren, who actually won the Open de France here at Le Golf National back in earlier in the summer. So how do you see that match going?
Well, you have a couple of fresh teams. The guys have not been on the golf course yet. So you look at DeChambeau, you know he's going to be amped up. It's up to Mickelson to kind of keep him under wraps and just keep him calm and go forward. Garcia, this is kind of his year, or this could save his year. A great Ryder Cup could save his year. Played poorly, did not see the results that he wanted, and then we all know that Alex Noren is a ball striker, finds the fairway, finds the greens. That's going to be a team. For Mickelson and DeChambeau, they have to have their A-plus game in order to win this match.
And then a couple of teams that won a point for their respective teams earlier this morning. Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth up against the man that we just saw before, Fleetwood and Molinari, who picked up their point for Europe, the sole point this morning. How do you see that one playing out?
That's going to be a tough match, simply because the way that Fleetwood finished, you have Molinari playing so well. He's playing with 100% confidence. And then, of course, Spieth and Thomas, they win that match, one up. They just kind of grinded it and gritted it out as we watch the second shot for Stenson on the way.
Into the first. And for a man who's prolific and hitting greens in regulation, just missing the second cut to the right. This opening hole at Le Golf National, not one that you want to overpower. You saw both teams opting for an iron off the first.
A lot of holes are positional holes. You have to find the fairway. We saw it in the morning matches. You didn't find the fairway, you struggled.
Rickie Fowler on approach for Team USA. And straight away, giving his team the best opportunity of making an opening birdie. How much is momentum critical, particularly for this team of Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler that won their opening point so emphatically this morning?
Well, I think momentum is key. Certainly going forward, you look at what Dustin Johnson has done in his Ryder Cup appearances, along with Rickie Fowler. They want to get to that point where they think their opponents think that they're going to dominate the match, and that's tough to get to. I think they both complement each other. Certainly, Rickie's iron game is aggressive, but then you have Dustin Johnson. His wedge game is good, so if you put enough wedges in Dustin's hands, he should be quite good. And you just want Rickie Fowler with 9 opportunities for birdie, because, in my opinion, easily top 3 on the PGA Tour in putting.
Well, lovely ovation for the European side as they march up onto this first green. Henrik Stenson, at age 42, one of Thomas Bjorn's captain's picks. Wasn't in startling form coming into it, but it was the experience that Bjorn opted for, bringing Stenson back, particularly in the way he's performed in Ryder Cups.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this format, and then you look at the singles, 60% of the matches, his ball striking might be able to carry him through to a victory. As we say in the United States, the better ball, the 4-ball part of it, maybe you rest him, because you need him for that alternate shot. You need for him to put the ball in the fairway, put the ball in the green.
And another little wrinkle in this match is Justin Rose and Dustin Johnson have traded that world #1 spot over the last few weeks. Dustin Johnson lost it to Rose after the BMW Championship, and then Rose actually goes on to win the FedEx Cup in his tight finish behind Tiger, but loses the #1 spot to Dustin Johnson, who was a fast finishing man there at Eastlake. Now, here is Rose, who pitched in earlier today for a birdie in that losing match this morning.
Delicate little shot right here. He'll drop it just over the fringe. Obviously carried that too far. He was actually just trying to maybe carry a foot, maybe 2 feet onto the putting surface, and he carried it about 8 feet on. You can see Justin reassessing.
Well, this combination of Rose and Stenson went 3-0 in the team format at Glen Eagles in 2014. They were a huge part of the reason why Europe won the last time it was on European soil. Henrik Stenson's highlight, you could say, in Ryder Cups came in his very first one at the K Club in 2006 when he got to hold the winning putt on debut. And right now, Dustin Johnson has a chance to sneak an early lead here. As we see Bubba and wife Angie, Webb Simpson and his wife Dowd striding to the first tee, hand in hand with their beautiful wives, and they seem to be a very relaxed looking American team, particularly after the result this morning.
Yeah, and I think going forward, when you look at Bubba, he's that excitable player and just trying to keep it under control. But here are two guys that they need to infuse some energy in the European team. And being down 3-1, they know what the task is in front of them this afternoon. They need to go out there and get the job done.
Well, Rory really struggled. Will the enigmatic Ian Poulter lift him this afternoon? Now, Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, still kind of employing that left-hand low method. Just
smart play nevertheless, given that Stenson still has some work to do for the par for Europe. So a comfortable par for the Americans on the opening hole. And if there is an Achilles heel in Stenson's game, and it has been this club, but the green speed's a real factor this week.
Indeed. When you start looking, if you compare them to the speed of the greens on the PGA Tour, they're slower. They're going to run about 10.5. But I go back to the fact that as an Open champion, Stenson, he's had success on greens of this speed. He will putt better on greens of this speed than he will on greens that are quicker.
It's just outside 6 feet for the half. Important for early momentum. Significant by Stenson. So surviving half, and Justin Rose knows it. Already delivering the fist bumps. It's amazing how they try to just feed off energy very early.
They will, and that's how meaningful that first hole was to the European team, not to go one down. 17 more, Luke.
Well, Justin Rose has only trailed for one hole so far in 19, but he's already lost a point for Team Europe. But that is the atmosphere around this opening tee shot at Le Golf National. A massive stadium erected here, and the fans have loved it. The atmosphere to begin this 42nd Ryder Cup was electric this morning. It really has become the feature of Ryder Cup competition. Why don't we take a look at the second hole at Le Golf National?
Well, the par 3, all over water, and you can see another green that sits diagonally to the player. So as a player, you want to try to work it in there with the full expanse, the way the green is shaped. So you want to come in there maybe a little right to left. But I think any par 3, over water, over 200 yards, I think in this format, all you're looking for, put it on the putting surface, give your partner a chance for birdie. And it's just so critical, as you look at the flagstick, it's just so critical that teeing off on a par 3, if you're the team that's hitting first, if you put that ball on the green and apply some pressure, it's a plus.
Well, it's one of the more gettable hole locations here at the second. Fowler first to play. And that's short-siding yourself. You can see he's wearing the Luke the Duck pin, which he's been sporting ever since Jared Lyle passed on the eve of the PGA Championship back at Belle Reve. They laid Well, they had a memorial service back in Australia yesterday to celebrate the life of Jared Lyle. Rickie's been using that to inspire himself to play his best golf.
Yeah, I'm looking at the flags. Directionally, it doesn't change. It's not really tech. Yes, you feel it a bit more in and out, but it's what you need.
Gareth Lord told me at the Open Championship his biggest job, or what he needs the most to do for Stenson, is get the wind correct, because he's such a high ball hitter that the wind must be correct in order for him to hit at the correct distance.
It's such a feature here at this course, is the way the wind, it's usually a cross breeze at Le Golf National, which really impacts the players, even the best ball strikers in the world like Stenson.
Well, there's certainly an opening, yeah, because you look at the bunker shot that Dustin Johnson's going to have. There's not a lot of room there. So anything a little short and left of this flagstick on the putting surface is what Stenson's looking for.
This one's heading a little right by the looks of it. So both teams failed to reach the surface here at the second, but it's all square early in this opening foursomes match. Back with more here on Ryder Cup Live on rydercup.com. Trade in your old clubs and save big on new equipment at PGA.com's Value Guide. Get an extra 20% now during the National Trade-In event. Well, moments ago on the opening tee shot, Ian Poulter, lion-hearted for Europe in Ryder Cup appearances. This was his tee ball to get the match with Rory McIlroy underway. And the way that shapes, and straight into the water, Billy Cransett.
Oh, that was a bit unlucky.
Off the opening tee shot. So with Bubba Watson in the middle of the fairway there, the Americans might take early advantage in that second match. Let's head now to the second green, where Rose, after Stenson missed the surface, looks to have had the easier of the two bunker shots coming up, but neither of them a pinch.
No question. And his expertise out of the bunkers does not take a backseat to anyone.
He's really worked extraordinarily hard at his short game under the tutelage of Sean Foley, and it's become the cornerstone to his success in the game.
Yeah, and since changing his putting grip, as we go to Dustin Johnson now, pretty sure that's his 64-degree sand wedge that he's put in play, but that's how difficult the shot was. He had very little green to work with, but when you have a putter like Rickie Fowler, you know, go ahead and give him that look from 15, 18, maybe 20 feet. Just give him a look. Don't try to be a hero on that second shot.
With so much water around, you saw there how closely the second green is to the first fairway. There's so much danger lurking on this golf course, and Jordan Spieth said in the lead up to it, you're going to see a lot of fist pump for pars here at Le Golf National, and that's been very true this morning.
We saw it on the first hole.
Right.
Justin Rose. Little fist pump.
Now Fowler, as you mentioned, one of the top three putters in the game. Didn't get the success he wanted out of his majors season, but another player who can really feed off a stunning Ryder Cup performance into the new year.
Kind of wonder where Rickie was going to be. Late in the season, the oblique injury, where was he, you know, how much could he play in the Ryder Cup? But from what I saw in the last two legs of the FedEx Cup, everything looks fine. And he bookended the last tournament he played with 65s. So, you know, going forward, I think he's going to be one of the guys that Captain Furyk can lean on.
Well, he picked up just his third win in 13 starts in Ryder Cup matches in this morning's four balls, partnering Dustin Johnson. didn't have the best of records, but he's had a couple of heroic halves early on in his Ryder Cup career.
Exactly, and that's why I said going out and getting that first point. Now maybe he can reach that, what we think the potential might be for Rickie in these matches.
With putting such a feature in match play, certainly points to his prowess on the surfaces today, but bogey for the Americans there is now given Stenson, who made a putt not too dissimilar to this length on the opening hole, to now give the Europeans an early one-up advantage.
I think it's a hard putt to read because everything works its way down towards the water, but I don't think it's a significant amount. For me, as I look at this putt, you add the pressure in, trying to go one up in the match. I think this is an easy putt to miss on the left-hand side. I think you can give it a little too much.
Stenson and Rose beat Hunter Mahan and Zach Johnson in 2014. Lost to Spieth and Reed in 2016 in foursomes matches. This to go one up. And a little light with his effort, so halved with bogeys here at the second. They'll move all square to the third tee, so no blood early. Billy Cratchit.
I was just about to say, it looked like Stenson was looking at the right-hand portion of the cup.
Let's take a look at this third hole.
Well, again, tee shot will set up what the players will do with their second shots, but 561 yards, you can kind of see that serpentine effect. And, you know, if you drive the ball in the fairway and you can let your partner go for the green, you put it in that bunker, that's not a bad play. If you do happen to have to lay up, I think laying up in that 100-yard range, maybe 90, would be ideal. But it's all set up with the tee shot.
Which is really the story at Le Golf National. It's a ball-in-play golf course, given how thick the rough is. We saw that in all this morning's four-ball matches, and how tight the fairways are. A little tighter than what they're used to playing in the French Open.
Well, yes. And Thomas Bjorn, recognizing the fact that his team, they can do it with preciseness. They can do it with efficiency. They're going to be better off the tee. No longer can they match the American team off the tee with length and no rough. So let's go ahead, squeeze it down a little bit, and let's see who has the best ball strikers.
Well, it's our first par 5. We get to see 3 of the 4 par 3s are even holes, and Stenson has that one up. As we head back to the first and see Alex Noren, the winner of the 2018 French Open here at Le Golf National, partnering up Sergio Garcia, who was selected by Captain Bjorn because he is the lifeblood of this European team. It was his hero, Sebi Ballesteros, who started it for continental Europe when they were brought into competition some 40 years ago. And that was the pivotal switch, really, for these competitions. Once all those on the continental side of Europe were able to participate in the team, it really became the matches that you couldn't miss to watch.
Correct.
And of course they'll go up against Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau. It'll be interesting to see how that combination works. 2 deep thinkers in the game of golf. They'll be fascinating to watch. But we are with Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler, who maintained the honour despite the bogey there at the par 3 second. Looks like there's a decision to be made here.
Discussion right here, but driver out of the bag.
You're almost surprised for Dustin Johnson because it's his most potent weapon that he would even second guess himself.
Exactly. Now it does sit a little diagonally, but I have to believe that as I look at this hole, you know, his target is in that direction right there. You just want to make sure you keep it a little bit down that left-hand side.
Well, he loves to shape the ball from left to right, so anything down the left third, it'll be ideal and give his partner Fowler a chance to get at this green in 2.
The more he moves it to the right, the less fairway he has. Now, if that cuts a little bit, that will be ideal. Just a little bit.
Well, there's plenty of rough around here at Le Golf National. You do not want to miss the fairway. Doesn't make it easy for the second shot, whether it be a layup or going for the green. So less than driver for Rose, ball in place specialist here.
And it certainly gives him more room, as I was saying, up that right-hand side.
Water comes into play at 10 of the 18 holes on this Albatross layout.
Oh, those last 4 holes are just, you have to be so on point.
That's just a continuation for Justin Rose and the way he's been playing, even though it settled into the second cut. So neither team in the fairway here at the third. We'll be back with more of these 42nd Ryder Cup matches from Le Golf National in a moment. In 2020, the Ryder Cup will be coming to the scenic shores of Lake Michigan at Whistling Straits in Kohler, Wisconsin. To be among the first to learn about the process for obtaining tickets, visit rydercup.com. Wow. If we think this golf club is a beast, that one will be brutal. Billy Cratchit.
Well, if you have wind there, being right on Lake Michigan, that'll dictate everything. I mean, with no wind, it becomes very much a target golf course. But with wind, you factor that in, firmness of the golf course, all those factors, then it becomes a brute.
To your point, Jason Day won the PGA there in 2015, shooting 20 under, a record score in major championships. But in 2010, Martin Keimer was at 10 under par when he got the job done.
Right, and so you look at the golf course and strictly wind dependent, but not a good lie for Fowler in the left-hand rough.
And Stenson in the right-hand rough over there, but it goes to show you just how difficult it is to hit fairways here at Le Golf National, particularly with the way the course has been set up, having pinched in the fairways. Both sides here just working out who's first to play. It looks like Stenson, who's got the better of the lies too, Billy Cratchit.
Much better. In fact, it looked like he's actually caught a little bit of a low spot, kind of a bald spot in the fairway over here, and really a good break for the European team. I mean, he should be able to get very clean contact on this. Helping wind, and you can see the number 3 in the foreground. And a good golf shot. You want to always be working up to the hole, and if you're going to make a mistake here at number 3 with this hole location, you just don't want to miss it long and left and short side yourself. That's, even though he didn't hit the green in 2 on this par 5, that's still a really nice lead for his partner Justin Rose.
Well, Fowler looks like he's forced into a layup.
Yeah, just, ooh, that came out low and not much on it, and I don't think it got out of that really thick rough. So right now, the American team's struggling.
Well, if you've been watching all the matches this morning, you would have seen how penal that rough can be here. And the Americans under a bit of duress on the 3rd hole. This match all square. The Americans went 1 up in the second foursomes match, with Watson and Simpson winning with a conceded par, after Ian Poulter drove it into the hazard off the first, playing alongside Rory McIlroy, who really struggled throughout his opening match. Many were questioning whether Captain Bjorn would have the courage to rest him this afternoon, but Tiger Woods has been rested. Billy Cratchit, no surprise given he looked to be a little bit tight.
Yeah, you look at the iron shot that he hit on 16, and you look at the shots that he missed to the left. That's pretty much an indication that yeah, maybe he is tired. I mean, it took a lot out of him last week winning the golf tournament, and I'm sure that playing the practice rounds, he was amped up even more getting ready for this Ryder Cup. So I think a good move, letting him rest, and just get back ready for the final 2 days.
We'll be interested to see just how much issues he has with that lower back, if any. Now, DJ having to dig one out here.
Certainly has to play right of the flagstick, I would think, Luke.
Hole high, around 20-25 feet. Smart play for the world number one. He was really up against it after the layup from Fowler, after the tee ball from DJ. But a premium on putting ball in play is really what this golf course is all about.
Yeah, and I don't, you look at guys on both teams, a Rory McIlroy, a Dustin Johnson, a Brooks Koepka, Tony Finau, Stenson. All these guys are very strong players, but this rough is just so brutal that even the strongest of players are having difficulty advancing the ball with any accuracy or distance control out of this rough.
As we see Rose and Stenson arrive up at this third green, I wanted to ask you the influence of Tiger Woods coming into this Ryder Cup. We saw in 2016 at Hazeltine when really the legend of American golf, Arnold Palmer, passed on the eve of the Cup, and how the Team USA were able to use that as inspiration, given the way that Tiger Woods, who is the legend of this era of golf, played and won at Eastlake. How much inspiration that would give to the American team coming to try and end that 25-year drought here on European soil.
Well, I think there was plenty of energy after that, and it's it's certainly carried forward. I mean, if you look at where the matches stand right now, 3-1, even though he was on the losing end of his match, still the energy throughout the team has been maintained. Pretty straightforward little pitch shot here. With this whole location, you can take it. You can take half of the distance of the green out of play if you choose, or you can just hit a nice little low shot. But just give Stenson, your partner, a really good look, and that is exactly what he's done. Good effort. Rolled by the hole. You know that this putt will move a little bit to the right, coming back down. So if the Americans do not make their putt for birdie, another good chance for the European team to go one up.
However, as we've seen so often in match play golf, the team that's been up against it can roll in a putt, put the pressure on the opposition and sneak away with a win. And with Fowler, with his putting, that could be key here in this match.
Yeah, if Rickie sees couple of putts go in early, he'll probably continue that for the rest of the day. That's just the way that it kind of flows, especially in this format. And foursomes is just so difficult. And if you can get on a roll and you can get that, okay, Dustin's hitting the iron shots, Rickie's doing the putting, you kind of get in that flow right there. It's like every other hole, your opponents, they're just going, oh, no.
Okay. Well, these mid-range birdie attempts on the way. Tracking. Ooh, did that break back right at the end?
It was a good-looking putt for a long time, and
so a conceded par for Team USA, and already through 3 holes we're seeing that it's the Fowler-Stenson combinations on the greens. They're putting for the hole early, and we're yet to see either Dustin Johnson or Justin Rose have a putt to win a hole. Now this one, it seems to be almost the same length he's had on the first 3 greens.
And this one should move a little bit to his right. Very important for Henrik to keep the speed up on this putt. Once this ball started losing speed from the chip from Justin Rose, we saw it move a little left, so certainly has the read. It's just a matter of execution.
Had top fives at both the Masters and the US Open, but he's been pretty quiet since Shinnecock. Chance here, though, for early ascendancy. There's a couple of opportunities slipping by for the Europeans early on in this match, so all square through 3. And that stroke looked a little shaky to me, Billy Cratchit.
And when you miss, you've had 2 opportunities to put your team ahead, and you miss, then all of a sudden the want and the pressure continue to increase.
Okay, let's head across to the par 4 fourth, one of the longer par 4s out here.
Well, and a good one. And you see the 2 bunkers staggered down the left-hand side. You may not see driver again because it is so critical that you put the ball in the fairway. And then up at the green, again, slightly perched. You have the green raised in the front, the slope tilting back down. But again, the guy's teeing off. You know, on the par 4s, par 5s, it is just so critical. And we just saw it right there with the American team. Dustin Johnson misses the fairway, and Rickie couldn't even get it back to the fairway, and they were fortunate to have that second hole.
So we've now got 3 matches out on the course. Garcia Noren underway up against Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau. And then the combination of Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth up against Molinari Fleetwood, both teams coming off a win in their morning 4 balls. Will be the anchor match this afternoon, but it's a 1-up advantage for Watson and Simpson through 2 holes. And it's all square in our lead match here after the Europeans have missed a couple of opportunities to grab an early advantage. And that's the factor for me, Billy Cratchit, as we watch this afternoon, will be the putting of Henrik Stenson when it matters.
Correct. And you look at a guy like Justin Rose. He's that player that Thomas Bjorn has that is so interchangeable throughout the team. Obviously with Rahm in the morning, now with Stenson in the afternoon, he's the guy that you can float to where you need him to be.
Okay, Fowler just waiting for the fairway to clear, and as we'll see a fair bit this afternoon, players opting for less than driver on a lot of the tee shots.
Yeah, and you see there's 2 bunkers down that left-hand side, so target for Rickie right in that area. Moving a little to the right. And that's going to be just fine.
Yes, so this Albatross course opened on October 5, 1990. The architects Hubert Chesno and Robert von Hagee. There was a bit of conjecture on who really gets the design credit for this golf course. But it has become a feature on the European Tour, host venue for the French Open. And it will be the Olympic venue in 2024, so holding a couple of significant events as we watch Stenson go to his trusty 3 medal.
And I would say probably the most prolific 3-wood player I've ever watched. Is just amazing the confidence he has in that club.
Well, he'll need to build off that confidence if he's to start making putts that matter. All square here at the Ryder Cup, the Golf National. The early stages of the afternoon foursomes here on a Friday of the 42nd Ryder Cup, and we have a slight advantage to Team USA. Other Watson, Webb Simpson group 1 up through 2 over McElroy and Poulter. Mickelson, DeChambeau and Garcia, Noren all square through the opening hole, halved in pars. It's all square in our match, the featured match of Dustin Johnson, Rickie Fowler against Henrik Stenson and Justin Rose. The Europeans missing a couple of opportunities early to get a slight advantage, but here we are in the 4th fairway. And noticeably, Billy Cratchit, both balls are in the fairway.
Indeed they are, so opportunity to be aggressive with this second shot. You can see Dustin and his brother Austin going through the numbers.
Might be quite rare for DJ to be playing first into a green. He's not used to this out on tour week in, week out, but it usually gives players an advantage. Stick one in close, put the pressure on. That's the beauty of match play.
And I think the beauty of pairing a Dustin Johnson and a Rickie Fowler together, the fact that they live in the same area of Florida, they play golf together, they understand what their games are like, what they can do, what they can't do. I just think it lends itself to just a power team for the U.S.
Hasn't been spectacular in Ryder Cup play, but prodigious in the singles.
A little left or right breeze. You can see the flag moving in that direction, and that starts well left.
Oh, it's not quite a Hideki Matsuyama hand off the club,
but it was thin. You could tell when the ball came off the club face, it was low, it was thin.
Therefore, no spin, and Fowler will have another lengthy look from the back fringe.
See Justin Rose going through that familiar rehearsal. But for many years now, it's been one of the premier iron players in the game. It rarely makes a mistake with an iron.
He's certainly put together a Hall of Fame style career, hasn't he? Another opportunity for the Europeans. Ask it to land softly. And it carries just a half club too far, so neither side able to get it inside birdie range here at the 4th. The Europeans have certainly held the upper hand without taking a lead on the scoreboard, Billy Cratchit.
And the European team, you know, when you look at Rose, you look at Stenson, it's important for them because they understand going out first, just how important it is for them to put a point on the board this afternoon for the European team being down 3-1. And like I said earlier, you continue to miss that 5-6 foot putt. If you're Henrik Stenson, you can't help but start to put pressure on yourself inwardly. And then it builds and it builds and it builds. And, you know, how do you combat that? I don't know if you can. I mean, the nerves are frayed anyways. I mean, you talk to guys about their tee shot on the first hole, about how blurry the golf ball is down there, and it's just a lot going on.
Well, he made a very clutch par at the first, but from there on it's looked a little shaky, and we've talked about it so many times throughout his career that if the club in his hand behaved a little better, he would be one of the world's elite, which he has been for a long time, but regularly winning, which he hasn't. Let's take a look at Henrik Stenson's Ryder Cup career. He's in his 5th appearance, and overall it's just about square. 7 wins, 7 losses, and a couple of half points, so it has been the combination with Rose that really has lifted his record.
Yeah, and what I look at, I look at the singles matches, 50-50, and I look at the foursomes, which we're playing right now, a little less than 50%. So who said that 50-50 is not bad in the Ryder Cup?
Well, Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods would dearly love 50-50 records throughout their careers. So it's just that we've seen Stenson be so prolific tee to green, you almost expect more out of him.
And I'm wondering how close he's going to, because I think it's a little bit of a double breaker. It's going to move to the right, and then at the end it's going to move to the left. So the first half right there, it'll squeeze right, and then at the end it'll go back left.
Correct weight.
And a wonderful piece of judgment with the speed.
So a conceded par, you'd imagine, for Team USA. That has been picked up. So Fowler hasn't really had the chance to stand over a putt to put some pressure on. So far, it not really impacting Team USA. Stenson now having to have a look at his putt. Do you think he'd be able to glean much of what he just saw?
He's in the same area, and the value of watching the putt from Rickie Fowler, what that gives him is the pace. He understands that, okay, it's not going to move as much to the right at the beginning. It's still going to move left at the end. Do these two breaks offset one another? I think he can play. I think he can play this pretty much off the left lip, somewhere in that area, maybe a cup outside the left lip. But again, the pace so critical to be successful on this putt. And if you're Henrik Stenson, that's just fine. The pace was good, and usually when you see nerves show up in a player, it shows up in the pace, but that was really nice.
Justin Rose goes ahead and taps it in. I'm assuming probably conceded, but he has the right to play out a shot if required. So all square through 4 in our opening foursomes match. They'll head to the 5th hole. But in the group behind, there's been some movement in this match. Webb Simpson and Bubba Watson, who were prolific as a combination in 2011 in the President's Cup. This is the third, the par 5. This from Simpson to win the hole. Oh, that has been a feature of Webb Simpson's season. It saw him dominate the Players' Championship, and that is now a 2-up lead with the bomb for birdie at the par 5.
And Bubba, he just plays off the emotion so much. I mean, this is an absolute dream start if you're Captain Furyk and you send Webb Simpson and Watson out there.
And there's just been a slight shift in the group behind that. Alex Noren and Sergio Garcia have just gone 1 up over Mickelson and DeChambeau. Here we are with Dustin Johnson on the tee here at the 5th.
Yeah, and really looking somewhere around that 250 mark. Shortish par 4.
He's only been able to get after 1 hole with a driver, and he missed the fairway at the par 5 third. So really the big hitters unable to take advantage of their length here at the Golf National. Good collection of par 4s that we're in at the moment. This one rather short.
Well, certainly a little more aggressive with this, but see the bunkers down the left-hand side, the rough. You can see where it kind of works its way out into the fairway. You see that little neck right there. So right at the top edge of the bunker, just a little bit to the right of that, kind of in that area right there, it's going to be okay.
Drop the head quickly.
And that seemed to be a little bit of a white, and oh, that's thick.
It's almost like hay, isn't it? So neither of these teams really striping it here early in their match. Need help with your golf game? Want to find a course or sign up for events in your area? Go to pga.com for all your golf needs. And there's plenty of needs for both Team USA and Europe in this matchup. But first, Fowler getting the opportunity to play from the fairway here at the par 4 fifth. After DJ put an iron in play. A little fresh out here at Le Golf National this afternoon. The breeze up a little bit.
Yeah, very aggressive player with the irons. Supremely confident. And you can see just a touch of breeze working from the player's right. That's a big miss.
Well, in the lead up to the matches, all the analysis around this golf course was the crosswinds and how much they'd be a factor. And we saw that this morning with a lot of approach shots down the stretch in particular, missing well left or well right, given what the wind might be doing.
But given the fact that the European team is in the right-hand rough and in trouble, right of the flagstick is where you have to be looking. You cannot be looking at this flagstick or left of it. You have to be looking a little short and a little right.
And neither side really being able to take advantage and get some ascendancy here. What kind of a lie does Stenson have? He looks to be in the heavier of all the rough here.
Yeah, and it's laying a little bit to his right. I mean, to get clean contact on this, the angle of attack has to be so steep. And that sensational shot. Absolutely. To get it to there, now European team has the advantage after the second shots.
Well, there's been a lot of Twitter activity by a lot of stars of the game. Michelle Wee, she's been throwing out a little tweet just straight at Ryder Cup USA, just letting them know that she's supporting a Solheim Cup star in her own right. All of the American players cheering on their nation. And look at her, just a little tongue sticking out as she's watching the action. Put a little bit of a gif on there. As,
taking care of the roots.
bleaching her hair, watching a bit of Ryder Cup action. She's a stylish one, isn't she, Michelle? But America would be delighted to have their team 3-1 up in those morning four-ball matches. So how significant do you think that is to perhaps the outcome of this entire competition?
Well, I think it's going to be a very important factor for the U.S. team. You know, going forward, they came over. They knew they had to make a statement early, and they did. Now the job going forward is to continue that. Yeah, sometimes there's that subconscious, okay, we're in good shape. We have a lead 3-1, but you can't let up. It's hard to explain, but it always comes down to Sunday.
And you'd expect that to be the case again. These sides very evenly matched. The European team had an average world rank of 19, which is their best ever team on paper, and Team USA had a world ranking of average of 11, which is remarkable considering there's 12 players in a side.
Well, you look at the top 10. 6 from the U.S., 4 from the European team. Then you go down 2, and then you go ahead and get 1 more on each. So that's 7 and 5. And then it's kind of a throw it back and forth. So teams are very, very, in my opinion, even though the average is not there. I think they're just so evenly matched. Now, a lot of green to work with, just like he had back at the par 5. You can see Rose taking a lot of that green out of play, and that's what I'm talking about, Luke. After the tee shot, advantage USA. After the second shot, advantage Europe.
Well, that's a definitive play by the Englishman Rose, and takes the pressure off Stenson, who had the putter in his hand getting ready to have to make one. He'll go up and mark that, but you'd imagine, no, it has been conceded. So the Americans will now have to get up and down from the left side of this 5th green.
You see him looking for the pitch mark from Rose, but apparently didn't make it. But now, another tough greenside shot for Dustin Johnson, even though he's a little bit on the uphill, and you are firing it back into the wind. You have to really do something special.
That ball was sitting up a little better than what balls can in the rough, but he plays that some 15, 20 feet beyond the hole. So Fowler will have to hold that to remain all square through 5 in this opening match, which really has been a pillow fight up until now.
Well, it certainly appears as though a hole is about to exchange hands. But the strategy on the second shot from Rickie Fowler, not to leave it a little short and right of the flagstick, may jump up and get him.
Well, there's been a couple of momentum shifts already in this match without either side taking the ascendancy, and this is a putt where Team USA can really feed off if Fowler was to make it. They take that momentum to the next tee, and a hole where they probably should have won off the tee shots, but then end up fighting to half.
And now, if you're Rickie Fowler, you know you're the guy that put your team in this situation. Now, you may try a little too hard. I mean, it's now you want to make it so badly not to lose the hole.
So, with the drop shot for Team USA, Europe gets their first lead here in this opening foursomes match. Rose and Stenson go 1 up through 5 with the par. So that really is one against the run of play.
Yeah, and just that reaction right there that I saw from Rickie Fowler, he knows that's all on him right there, or at least he feels as though it's all on him. And it's just you got to fight through it.
Let's go back to the anchor match on the opening hole. This is Spieth from a long way away for birdie. Wow, what a wonderful roll. So they halve the opening hole with pars against Molinari and Fleetwood. But the match ahead, this is Mickelson on the 3rd tee, already 1 down to Noren and Garcia. This is the par 5. And a water ball for Mickelson, who was looking just to use an iron to get in to play. So a big miss by Mickelson, who was coming in under a bit of duress with his game. And that team looking to go down a couple through 3. But the Americans do have a good 2-up advantage in that second match, with Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson off to a great start against McIlroy and Poulter. So at the moment, if everything was to stay as it is, the Europeans would be able to close just a little bit of the gap that they lost in the opening 4-ball matches. But a long way to go here this afternoon, Billy Cratchit, and we know that these 1-up leads are nothing in Ryder Cup competition.
Well, the fact that Mickelson put it in the water with his tee shot at the 3rd, the par 5, going with an iron, that may be a telling tale for their outcome today. It's going to be an uphill battle from them, but 387, short little par 4. Again, this morning.
It tees up, they're able to get at it with the driver, but here it'll play into iron in play, you'd imagine.
Yeah, and Stenson, let's see. This may be the 5-wood.
Oh, I think that might be the 3 metal
that,
again, yes, with the blue shaft, yeah.
Okay. Trying to favor down that left-hand side if possible. I mean, he is so reliable with that club.
Again, he's playing to his strengths, isn't he? Get it all the way down there, and I wonder if that says to Team USA, yes, it does. Take out the big stick and have a go. So it's playing 357 yards to the front edge. A pivotal tee shot, this one.
Really is, and with a good one, he can put it right in front of the green. And that is
on a long way left. Maybe to their advantage in the trampled down area. Whew. Rickie Fowler under a bit of duress here. Let's find out where he ends up when we return here. RyderCup.com. So after a couple of struggles early on, we are into the 6th hole here at Le Golf National. It's been a cooler and breezier afternoon as we get our foursomes matches underway. We are watching Henrik Stenson, Justin Rose up against Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler in the opening matchup, and you can tune in to us on Facebook Live, Twitter and YouTube. So if you're joining us, it's great to have your company. You can tweet at us at Ryder Cup. But after a mistake by the Americans at the 5th, the European combination of Stenson and Rose, which has been so significant in past Ryder Cups, been able to take a slight advantage. It looks like they've got another one. Billy Cratson, I'm Luke Elvey. Great to have your company right here at the short par 4 6th.
Well, you look at where the two teams are positioned. Certainly with the 3-wood that Stenson hit, put Justin Rose just short of the green. Plenty of green to work with. Rickie Fowler, on the other hand, big miss to the left. And over there, you can see Dustin Johnson on top of the mound, taking the jacket off and getting ready to go. But again, just a nice, easy, comfortable pitch shot for Justin Rose. And the fact that he's had to do this already twice, I'm looking for this to be within 5 feet.
And the added bonus of getting to go first, so apply even more pressure.
Yeah, and then that will certainly dictate what kind of shot that Dustin Johnson plays. Do you go for the heroic one, which you might have to if he hits it close to the hole and they're conceded a birdie?
So this is the second shot for Justin Rose after a wonderful tee shot by Henrik Stenson. Pitched it to a couple of feet for a conceded par at the 5th.
And you can watch the motion. You can see the shoulders, the arms, the chest. Everything continues to turn through. Now, you can see the disappointment, but now Dustin Johnson understands that if I put it on 20 feet from the hole, that's going to be just fine, because Rickie Fowler, he'll have the opportunity for birdie. But it's going to take a really, really quality shot to get this ball within 20 feet, I think.
Right, it's quite a sandy lie underneath some wispy grass, and they're short-sighted.
And you can see how much he's widening his stance, flexing the knees, trying to get down to the level of the golf ball.
Just got caught up in the second cut of rough that didn't allow it to release onto the green. So the Europeans will have, you'd imagine, a putt to go 2 up here, unless Fowler can pull off something heroic, but that was awfully close to being brilliant.
It certainly was. And now Rickie, this little shot from off the green, grass just long enough that he's going to have to flip it over the fringe, but there's a little brow coming off that side that's going to actually work the ball down in that direction. This little stub cut, but that is such a good lie.
Well, it was the mistake off the tee by Fowler that leads to a bogey. Beg your pardon, a par for Team USA. It is a drivable par 4, albeit lengthened from this morning. So now Stenson with this putt, a little bit longer than what he wanted for a birdie, but a chance to go 2 up and perhaps build his own confidence by making one.
Had opportunities at 2 and 3, did not convert. Needs to see one of these go in. Actually, it's the first time he's brought Justin Rose in to help read the putt.
It really is remarkable that here we are 6 holes into the match, and it has been Henrik Stenson that has been the one to have to putt on each read. Neither Justin Rose nor Dustin Johnson have been able to have a putt that matters yet.
Right, and then you often wonder when they do get that opportunity, having not putted, what's going to happen. But now, you just kind of get the feeling that Rose helping him read this putt, this may give him just that little edge that he needs.
A better stroke. And the birdie confirmed for Stenson. So now Team Europe of Rose and Stenson go 2 up through 6 holes, and the fist pumping begins. Thumbs up to the European crowd. So taking advantage of the Europeans of a mistake off the tee by Team USA. There's the first buffer of the match.
Well, you can see just how energized Rose is. He's the one that is going to show the emotion. Stenson just kind of continues on. But the 7th hole, you can see just a little bit of a 2-piece hole right here. This par 4, big hole, 462 yards, but all dependent on the wind. And again, kind of that hourglass shaped green. And you know, whether you go with driver off the tee or not, but this is a whole location that is very accessible. And now that Stenson kind of has made that putt, kind of cracked the code, made a birdie for their team, all of a sudden, you know, you kind of think, well, maybe this is a team that could just continue this on and win pretty quickly, get a point up there, and then let it resonate all the way down through the rest of the matches.
Well, after Rose combined with John Rahm to ultimately lose that opening match this morning, this is very pivotal for Captain Bjorn, that this really marquee pairing for Europe clinch a point in the afternoon.
A couple of mistakes by Rickie Fowler, certainly with the iron shot short siding and then the tee shot to the left. Rose with a good-looking golf swing and a perfect result. I mean, that is in the dead center of the fairway.
Should leave his partner around 160-yard approach. DJ going back to his favourite club.
Yeah, second time he's hit driver, but you can see the crane. And that one needs to hang on. That's down the right-hand side.
So after missing one left with the Chief, Dustin Johnson misses one right into a horrid spot. Well, I hope you're enjoying all the action on Ryder Cup Live. The Americans a couple down their match to Europe through 6. Back on Ryder Cup Live, and a real feature of this opening foursomes match has been the putting with Henrik Stenson, Billy Kratz. He's had a couple of opportunities early.
Yeah, this was at the par 3, the second hole.
With his efforts,
Had a chance, and then the following hole, Rose hit a nice little pitch shot on this par 5, and that was not a very good stroke. You could see that one kind of hooked it up against it and pulled it, but this one, absolute money, Luke.
Better stroke. And the birdie. So that one pivotal to the outcome of this match at the moment, and as Steve Marwood said, Rose and Stenson are like Maverick and Goose. Little reference to Top Gun here in the Ryder Cup. I like it. Who do you reckon's Maverick, and who do you think is Goose?
I'm going to say Maverick is Justin Rose.
I agree. I
And
wonder if they
Goose-
get permission to buzz the tower a little later in this match. At the moment, Stenson
And Goose is that man right there.
finds himself in the fairway after a great drive by Rose. Very good point coming from our producer. Does that make Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler Iceman and Slider? I'd have to say that Iceman would be DJ in that little pairing.
Well, this is a very, very deep green. 46 paces front to back. But Stenson, understanding the situation, USA right-hand rough, anywhere to the right of the flagstick, on the green, you have a huge, huge advantage.
Well, he is one of the best iron players in the game.
Asking for it to go.
And he'd be feeling like a little bit of a goose, leaving that some club short of the intended target. We love the tweets. Keep them coming at Ryder Cup. Thank you, Steve, for that one. And it is amazing how prolific these two have been for Europe throughout the last 3 Ryder Cups. And look at this lie and stance for Fowler.
Just horrible, and no way to really get good, clean contact on it. And you can see by the result of that shot, I mean, the terrain, once you get off the fairway and you combine the terrain along with the long grass, just no way.
And it really makes the players look like standard golfers, for want of a better term. And when we're looking at the best players in the world, it's the first time in the history of the Ryder Cup that the entire world's top 10 are here, and you go just off the top 10 and there's a number of American and European players, but you get off the fairway and in the thick stuff at Le Golf National, and it is a real struggle just to get ball back in play.
Dustin Johnson's asking where the ball might be. He still hasn't located the golf ball.
Well, we're talking US Open thick with the rough here. It's the way that Captain Bjorn wanted to set it up.
We're talking what US Open rough used to be.
Right. Right. Well, they go a little thick in parts there at Shinnecock as you got further from the fairway. The graduated rough that they talk about now. Looks like it has been located. It gives you an indication of how deep it is down in the grass if they struggled to find it initially.
He's going to have to hit a really, really good shot to have a look of 20 or 25 feet.
And with the Europeans on the dance floor, but a long way from the DJ, they'll have a chance to go 3 up here, unless DJ can hit the shot required.
Wow. I mean, that is so thick. And I can't tell you what a good shot that was. You know, to be able to give Fowler the opportunity at 4.
Yeah, that's about a 9 out of 10 now.
And I would say that Team USA, if they don't start finding the fairway, this match has all the looks of not going too far.
Well, there's 2-up leads in both the middle matches to either nation, but with the anchor match here, Tommy Fleetwood, who made some pivotal birdies down the stretch this morning, makes one at the third after a great shot by Francesco Molinari. So that combination now 1 up over Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, because this was a putt by JT to halve it. A critical miss that is. So the Americans 1 down in that final match. So Europe lead in 3 of the 4 matches this afternoon after losing the morning session 3-1. We could be back to all square at the end of the day. Billy Kratzer.
All the momentum right now. Team Europe.
Particularly here in the lead match, which is so pivotal. The blue flag gets up on that scoreboard quickly and filters through the rest of the team.
It certainly does. And McIlroy with a birdie. He and Poulter. So they've cut that lead of Watson and Simpson in half.
Back in the 6th, yes.
To where they're only 1 down.
A little surprise with Stenson, who really is one of the best iron players in the game, leaving Rose so well short.
Not really, because you look at the shape of the green and you get more towards the middle. It does kind of narrow up a little bit. Just give your guy a chance to ease it up there, coax it up there close, make par. I mean, it's all situational golf. But anything within 3 or 4 feet, but Rose hates it. Hit it a little bit on the bottom of the putter. He knew it immediately by his reaction.
Well, that was my feeling. Stenson hits it to 25, 30 feet. It's a comfortable 2-putt par, leaving it some 50 feet away. Put pressure back on Rose to get it close. Now Fowler here can snatch a bit of momentum if he can roll one in. He hasn't been able to hold one yet, but they're just looking for something, the Americans, that they can feed off here in this opening foursomes match. And what a heroic par this would be.
To drive the ball in the right-hand rough, have to hit the 3rd from the rough. If this was to go in for Team USA, as you said, this would be huge. Nope.
So one of the better putters in the game is not finding his rhythm early.
Yeah, and you can see the shake of the head. Even DJ kind of walking off with his head down. Usually don't see that very often from him, but another excellent chance for Stenson and a chance to go 3 up in the match.
Who's had the pivotal putt on every green so far in this match. We are now at the 7th hole, and he has had the putt that's mattered on every single hole. It's amazing how it can work out. He's missed a couple of around this range.
But again, you see Rose in there. I think now that Rose is in there reading the putt, I just think there's that little bit more of confidence that Stenson feels with the read. And I think he makes a better stroke. I'd be surprised if he missed this putt.
Well, it's to go 3 up after another bogey by Team USA. They are 3 over par through 7 holes. That being Dustin Johnson, Rickie Fowler, who won prolifically this morning, 4 and 2. Right in the heart. Stenson now, alongside Justin Rose, go 3 up through 7. They're really starting to show their authority.
You can see Rose. Every opportunity he gets, he's right there with Stenson.
This at 6. Rory McIlroy now joins us. We saw all those roars at Hazeltine. Oh, and he's quieting down the USA fans I wonder if that's a little tongue-in-cheek reference to what happened back in Hazeltine. But finally, Rory McIlroy's arrived at the 42nd Ryder Cup matches. Now just 1 down through 6 alongside Ian Poulter against Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson. So the Europeans now starting to show their authority here in this afternoon wave of foursomes matches. Billy, what stands out to you?
Well, I think the fact that Molinari and Fleetwood are playing so well. They certainly had the opportunity against Tiger Woods and Patrick Reed this morning to close out the match way earlier than what they did. But they're continuing their good play. But what stands out to me is the fact that you have a Stenson and a Rose who play so well together. They blend. And if Stenson makes a few putts, I mean, literally, they could be 5 up. I mean, when you start thinking about it, they could be 5 up. And what stands out is the fact that they're the first match out this afternoon. And if they go ahead and put that point on the board, most times it'll just go right through the rest of the golf course and the guys get energized. So
let's take a look at the 8th, another of the par 3s.
Well, this par 3, you have the one lone bunker in front, which should not be a factor, but again, you have just a few little ripples. The interior contouring on this 8th hole, not significant, but enough to make it interesting. And then you have the low collection area over to the right, 201 yards. So I'm thinking Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson right now with a 3-up lead. Prioritize just putting it on the putting surface. Give yourself a look at birdie. From this point forward, it is all about fairways and greens.
It's a lovely lead to have in any match, a 3-up advantage, but to have it as you arrive to the 8th tee. As I mentioned, 3 of the 4 par 3s are even numbered holes. It's just the 11th that sits on the opposite side. So Stenson will have the advantage. Very strong iron player.
Cameras, please.
Although he came up well short on his approach at the last. Wasn't costly though.
And the tendency, if you're Team USA, the tendency is to press. And the more you press, seemingly the worse it gets. That looked like another solid strike. A little bit unlucky there.
You're hearing Gareth Lord trying to suggest it's not a bad miss there. Hole high to the left.
No. Struck. Yeah.
Rickie Fowler has really looked for a number of ways to get into this match. Is this his chance? Made 6 birdies in his morning 4-ball match, so he was certainly playing nicely.
Very important shot for Rickie, and now Dustin Johnson with the opportunity to finally putt and maybe win the hole.
There's no doubting that Fowler needed that. Ryder Cup Live bringing you all the action. Advantage USA here at the par 3-8. Back with more in a moment. Tiger versus Phil. Friday of Thanksgiving weekend. Watch Capital One's The Match on Bleacher Report Live. There'll be plenty of attention on that, but right now all the focus is here at Le Golf National on Ryder Cup Live. The 42nd Ryder Cup matches after the Americans took a 3-1 advantage in the morning 4-ball matches. Europe's bounced back a bit this afternoon, leading 3 of the 4 foursomes matches, including the lead match here. The Europeans 3 up, but in a tricky spot at the 8th.
Yeah, it looks like he's just right on the edge of the collar right there. But again, sitting underneath the level of the green, so put it up on top. But the key here, if you're Justin Rose, you have to get it inside the American team, which he's done. Beautiful shot.
And given that Fowler's been able to hit his tee shot into around 8 feet, Dustin Johnson will have a chance to close the gap to a couple down. We know Stenson will be asked to putt that one. That's outside the circle of friendship in any match, let alone the Ryder Cup.
That's outside a lot of players' circle of trust. But now, the biggest putt of the match right now is this putt that Dustin Johnson has.
You certainly can't afford to allow Europe to halve the hole and maintain the momentum.
You can't let this hole slip by. You cannot go to the 9th tee 3 down, in my opinion.
Slightly downhill, much to it.
I don't think there's a lot to it. And this is pretty much his typical routine about reading the putt. He'll look at 4 different angles. But I think this is one where you just kind of hang it right on the edge. And it's tough not to make yourself hit this through the break because you want to make it so badly.
So DJ, who went to left-hand low midway through the Tour Championship, lips out a pivotal birdie attempt there at 8. And now the chance come for Europe. Stenson stands over this to remain 3 up. That is critical, as you were suggesting.
And what's going on right now is the fact that Stenson has made a couple of putts to win holes. He made that opening putt at the first hole. Now he makes this putt to stay 3 up. All he's doing is building confidence going forward with probably the weakest club in his bag.
It's all starting to lean Europe's way here this afternoon. And they needed it after a disappointing opening session. There's the confidence building. So a clutch par by the Europeans keeps them 3 clear as they head to the par 5 9th, and all the momentum now with the blue side of the equation. Willie Cratson, as you alluded to, will we look back at that moment there at 8 as the sole moment that the Americans had the chance to try and get back into the contest?
Absolutely. That was their golden opportunity to cut into the lead, get it to where, okay, we're 2 down, we're going into a par 5, the 9th hole. Just didn't happen.
Well, there's all sorts of action going back behind us here at the 5th. Sergio Garcia, who's playing alongside rookie Alex Noren, makes the birdie putt there. And now Sergio getting into the competition. So the Europeans 3 up in that match against Mickelson and the American rookie Bryson DeChambeau. So some real big leads starting to happen for Europe in the afternoon matches.
Well, you look at Mickelson and DeChambeau, they're 3 over par. I mean, you're going to get beat. And Dustin Johnson and Rickie, they're 3 over par. They're looking for their first birdie.
Here we are at the par 5 9th. Bit of water down the left-hand side, but given the advantage the Europeans have here, not surprised to see Rose resort to a less than driver option.
They did the same thing back at number 3, the par 5, and just opted to play for position. You can see 579 yards. But again, just continue to keep the pressure on the U.S. team by putting the ball in the fairway and on the green.
Down, baby, down.
Rose concerned about this as the water does come into play there on the left-hand side.
That's the reason you hit 3-wood.
Well, this combination has been lethal for Europe in the Ryder Cups. This is their 7th time they've partnered up, Rose and Stenson. They've won 4 of the previous 6, so looking to go 5-2 in Ryder Cup matches. It's not quite Sevi Olafable, but it's certainly heading in that direction. And again, Dustin Johnson being forced to take an iron off a tee. His strength being nullified here despite not hitting the driver well early. Yeah, that doesn't find the fairway. Well, they're looking for something, the Americans, but they can't find it. Europe dominating here in this foursomes matchup, 3 up as they head down the 9th. Back with more in a moment. Well, there's some more drama happening for Team USA this afternoon. Here's Webb Simpson for par back at 7 to halve the hole alongside Bubba Watson. So after leading a couple up early, it's now back to all square. So the momentum definitely with Team Europe as we get to the middle stages of the afternoon foursomes, all led by the opening combination of Stenson Rose up against Johnson and Fowler, which has been our focus. And here we are now inside the simulator for the first time as we welcome you into the About Golf simulator. Yeah, and it's lovely to bring this kind of technology to you, Billy Kratz. You're going to take us through where they are here at the 9th hole. And not a pretty look for the Americans on this par 5, which is gettable in a couple of shots, but they were forced into having to use the iron off the tee.
Yeah, put the ball in position, and you saw Justin Rose go with a 3-wood, but what's facing them is, as we work our way up the fairway, is how close can you get to this par 5? And what you want to avoid is this rough that they have to come over. From this angle, you can see all those bunkers are hidden from the player, and then what you see up at the green, you'll see that movement off the right-hand side. Now, that bunker right there, that's where Rickie Fowler's second shot has found. That's a pretty easy bunker shot for Dustin Johnson, I think. But anything to the right, that's going to be kind of a difficult up and down. And Stenson, I would think he has to be looking more over to the left-hand side over here in order to give his partner, Justin Rose, another chance to get the ball close to the hole, make another birdie, possibly go 4 up.
Once again, we're finding here at Le Golf National that the strength of the Americans, the distance off the tee is being nullified because of the design of this golf course.
Exactly.
And that's critical, and the advantage is really being put in the hands of the Europeans because of the way the course is set up.
Yeah, it's no longer a power game for the American team. That's been taken away from them. This is all positional golf. It's situational golf. And this is a perfect situation. Has to keep it left of this whole location.
All right, why don't we take a look at Stenson's second. Good angle of attack straight up this green.
Well, he really is taking direct aim.
So the camera tower, number 9 for the 9th hole, in line with this whole location.
And that is a critical miss right there. That is a bad shot and a good break for the American team.
Well, they've certainly needed something because it's been all Team Europe early on in this match, and it's really been because of the struggles of the Americans. 3 over through 8 holes, unable to make a birdie. They're not in birdie positioning here, but they've certainly been given a chance on this hole, which they were up against it. But we've already mentioned it there, and it's going to be a feature all week. Le Golf National is not a golf course you overpower. It is a ball-in-play golf course, really favouring the Europeans, who are statistically slightly better ball striking TD1.
Yeah, and when you look at the team of Justin Rose and Stenson, two of the best ball strikers in the world of professional golf. And for me, when you play foursomes, this would be my ideal team. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe the putter not strong, but if I was a captain and I could choose two players to go out there, I would choose Stenson and Rose. And for the American team, you know, I thought Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler would be the ones that I would want to go up against Stenson and Rose, but it just hadn't proven out to be the case today.
And the other factor in a Ryder Cup competition, which we saw at Hazeltine in favour of Team USA, is the way that the crowd can start to become that extra team, that extra player. And you can see and hear all the energy starting to lift here late on the opening day at Le Golf National, because it's all blue on the leaderboard, and you'd imagine that Captain Fury could be feeling a little blue after Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson just lost the par 3 8th as well. So it's now 4 leads to Europe in the 4 afternoon foursomes matches.
And Dustin Johnson, he's going to take a long look at this. This is actually in a bunker a little bit farther away than what I thought. I thought he was more snug up against the green, but this is a long bunker shot. Clean lie. Not that really awkward yardage, but still, even though he's in the bunker, I believe that Dustin Johnson has the advantage over Team Europe because they appeared to be in the longish grass.
Well, they've been looking for a moment so far in this front 9. Can they grab one here? Well, they sure can. That's brilliant. That's the kind of shot that would give the common golfer fits. And he's just put it inside 15 feet. Really only amplifying Stenson's miss there. And while he's starting to build a bit of confidence with his putter, his irons haven't been as strong as we're used to. Missed the green at 8, came up well short at 7. He's had chances, Stenson, to put Europe in a dominant position.
And I think that's what's difficult about foursomes, is the fact that it's tough to gain any type of rhythm, whether it be with the driver, the irons, the putter. It's tough to get that rhythm and maintain it because you hit half the shots.
It is the more difficult of the two disciplines to play, because you only get to hit half the shots, and Rose just taking a couple of practice swings right on the edge of these 2 cuts of rough.
Well, and I think he plays to the right of the flagstick here. You have to go with the way the grass is laying. And that was probably 2 feet, maybe 3 feet from being ideal. Certainly a good effort. And you can see right there, he's just urging it.
He knows how close that could have been to being really handsome. So now the Europeans have to get up and down for their 5. And the Americans might have a putt to close the gap to a couple heading to the second 9, which they certainly need. Or has Stenson got a bit of magic up his sleeve? He's known as the Iceman. We had the Maverick Goose reference before, but he's known as the Iceman in the world of golf.
It's going to be a kind of a balancing act with the stance, you know, right up against the edge of the bunker.
And this is telling as well, because that's the first time Stenson's been forced into having to pitch the ball today. So we're finally getting to see Rose now have to make a putt, and the roles sort of switching in terms of how they've played the hole, all because of Stenson's poor approach. So that's not assured of a par yet, and Fowler will stand over this 15 to 20 foot birdie attempt.
And once again, this is a really big swing hole. You go back to the 8th where Dustin had it within 6 feet, 7 feet of the hole. You make that, and then all of a sudden you make this one. You go into the second 9 holes, one down.
With the momentum.
Huge momentum.
But at least one would make a difference at the turn.
This would be a momentum gainer as well. Just coming off the edge right there, there's just that little bit of a brow, that shoulder right there, that he has to be concerned with.
Yes, his feet will be lower than the ball. He hasn't made a putt yet. In fact, the Americans haven't made a putt yet.
Every putt's been a little weak to the right. That was a good effort. That was a really good, solid putt that just didn't go.
So it's a confirmed par. And now it's over to Justin Rose, who hasn't had the putter in his hand yet, to have to make a putt to stay 3 up at the turn.
And that's exactly what we're talking about, is that you kind of get into a rhythm with a putter, but it hasn't been able to do that. And good look at it from Rickie right there, and just graces that left edge.
But a better stroke, and that was what he was after. Something to feed off, just anything. Justin Rose holding up a few fingers there. That's a lot of break for a putt of this distance.
Yeah, and certainly with this putt right here, the momentum's going to go in one direction or the other. If Justin Rose makes this, watch the reaction.
To halve the hole and stay 3 up through 9. Emphatic. It's all Europe at the moment. That has been
There it is.
the club in his hand that has seen him become the world's #1. He just lost that crown to Dustin Johnson for these Ryder Cup matches, but he has gone from being a average at best putter to one of the best in the game. A remarkable turnaround.
Yeah, and when you look at that putt and, you know, just the reaction, holding the golf ball up, you just took a lot more of the air out of the American team.
Wow, it's all blue, isn't it? Look at the lead now for Garcia and Noren. 4 up through 6 holes over Mickelson and DeChambeau. 3 up in our opening match and a couple up in the anchor match. Molinari and Fleetwood posing as a really impressive combination. And the tweets come in from Mark Mizzou. Yikes, he says, that Ryder Cup Europe is rolling. The Americans need to get their act together, no question. A little reference to Ferris Bueller with the GIF. Let's make the turn as we head across to the back 9, and this par 4 10th, quite a short hole, but plenty of trouble off the tee.
Yeah, left and right. Water left and tall grass to the right, and the green perched, so players play the second shot up the hill. Actually, from down in that fairway, right about the 90-yard mark. It plays about 5 yards back up the hill. So
once again, it's taking the driver off the table.
yeah, and it's not a hole that you can force the issue. I mean, you have no room for a driver, and you just pretty much have to put the ball in play with an iron.
So after being all square through the first 4 holes, the Europeans have really taken advantage. They won 3 in a row from holes 5 through 7, and then a clutch half there at 9 in the end. So it's a 3-up advantage at the turn. Stenson pairs back to the long iron.
Really, no need to even come close to the water on the left.
Great swing. Very nice.
There we go. Very solid iron shot there for Stenson. Just around 100 yards into this elevated green. Rickie Fowler. It seems to be a lot of club here. Billy, are they just searching at this stage? Are they being forced into shots?
Well, it's, you know, it's not the 3-wood. It's much less than that. Again, it's just a positional hole. He's not going to challenge anything. But the important part of this golf shot is to make sure you find the fairway, and a lean to the left means it's a little to the right. And continued trouble. The troubles continue for Team USA.
Mistakes keep happening in this afternoon wave. It really has been a tale of 2 halves in the 42nd Ryder Cup matches as we welcome you back into our Ryder Cup live studios after a wonderful start by Team USA in the opening 4-ball matches. It's been all Europe this afternoon. Luke Elvey alongside Billy Cratchit. I hope you're enjoying all the action, but I'd imagine you'd have to be a European to be feeling positive about things. We've seen really from the get-go in this foursomes match, particularly our featured match of Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson, 3 up through 9 holes over Dustin Johnson, Rickie Fowler. It's pivotal.
It certainly is, and right now the U.S. team, they're just getting smoked. Not only is the shot quality, the shot value, everything is better. They're making the putts at the critical time. We just saw Justin Rose make it on the 9th hole to maintain that 3-up lead. And you go back early in the match, I mean, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. And right now, Team Europe gaining the momentum, getting back after that start this morning, going down 3-1. I mean, this is huge for them and Captain Bjorn.
Know that Europe are great on European soil. It's been 25 years since the Americans have won, but they haven't whitewashed the Americans for some time. In fact, you have to go all the way back to 1989 when they won the afternoon 4 balls 4-0. So this is a big statement move by Thomas Bjorn's men. And really, it's been because of the poor play of the Americans rather than outstanding play by the Europeans.
As I look at it right now, Luke, and I'm looking at where every match stands, and yes, McIlroy and Poulter have gone 1 up. I mean, this has all the makings of going 4-zip.
Yeah, it's a tidal wave right now because the anchor pairing of Fleetwood and Molinari are really putting Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas to the sword. They've just gone 3 up through 6 holes with another birdie. So 3 up, 4 up, and just a 1-up advantage to McIlroy, who was very poor this morning, and Ian Poulter against Simpson and Watson. And here we are with this lead match. Rose Stenson in the fairway, and Johnson Fowler to the right rough on a very short par 4. It's looking bleak.
Certainly is, and you see Mark Poulter and Justin Rose going through the numbers, and Dustin Johnson over in the right-hand rough. You've got to believe that when Dustin Johnson plays his second shot, if he gets it within 20 feet of the hole, exceptional.
The energy. This is what we've known about in Ryder Cup competition. Once the home crowd can get behind and build the energy for the home team, which we're seeing this afternoon, the crowd really being able to get behind the Europeans here in the foursomes.
But
I think another advantage here for Europe is they get to play first. So Rose, just outside 100 yards.
Yeah, and just outside 100 yards, I mean, he's thinking one thing, you know, freeze it. I mean, you freeze it, then your chance to go 4 up, so good. Smart shot, very smart shot, play beyond the flag stick. Force the American team to do something special.
Well, it's over to Dustin Johnson to do just that.
It's a good clean contact, but just couldn't get enough on it. And probably not a bad leave, given a pretty good line, because Rickie Fowler is so good out of the bunkers. But still, I mean, the mistakes off the tee, the par 3. The American team continues to make mistakes off the tee, and they're always trying to catch up. You cannot play catch up when you're 3 down.
Yes, they're not really getting the opportunities to change the momentum of this match. They've had a couple at 8 and 9.
One time.
And then the rest has been all Europe. So if you don't take those, let's say, less than a handful of opportunities you might get in an entire match to take the momentum, and it all becomes a struggle, and you just keep hearing roar after roar after roar emanate around this course, which is situated around 25 minutes southwest of the capital of Paris, France. It's the first time in the history of the Ryder Cup that we have seen matches played in the capital of the nation that is hosting. It's never happened on US soil. It's the first time it's happened in the history of the Ryder Cup.
Well, Alex Noren and Sergio Garcia are 4 under through 7 holes.
In foursomes.
In foursomes.
Breathtaking golf. I wondered how much.
Well, you knew that Noren, what he brought to the table. You knew that he was going to put the ball in the fairway, put the ball in the greens. If Garcia was just a little bit on, because we, you know, as commentators, we think when you look at the top best drivers in the world, he's certainly in the top 10 so far as length and accuracy. And if both players just see a few putts go in, that's a lethal pairing as well.
Well, Noren, the most recent winner of the Open de France here, as Fowler splashes out from that greenside bunker. That isn't dead yet. So a chance to go 4 up for the Europeans here at the 10th. But it's a 5 up advantage for Noren and Garcia. They've made 3 birdies in a row, 4 in the last 5 holes. Mickelson and DeChambeau are getting wiped. And what about...
It's not a good combination when your opponents are 4 under par and you're 3 over. In fact, you're happy that you're only 5 down.
Well, I'm surprised that Furyk put Mickelson out in the afternoon, because his foursomes record has really been lackluster, to be kind, in Ryder Cup matches. And with the way he's been playing, the form or lack thereof that he's been coming in, I was surprised he got a start. Were you?
I would say that if you were going to play him, you would want to play him in the 4-ball. He's much more reliable in the 4-ball than he is foursomes.
So it's back down to the putting of Henrik Stenson to try and heap more misery on the Americans.
Just imagine the confidence that Stenson has right now. Pretty good effort. That putt broke a lot more to the right than what I saw.
He couldn't be bowled, given the fact it was down the slope and that Dustin Johnson has to make this putt to just halve the hole. It's a smart play there. You don't want to give away a winning position. keep the foot on the throat, and that is the beauty of match play competition. Dustin Johnson needing to hold this to remain 3 down. And Fowler against Rose and Stenson with just 8 holes to play. Just isn't their match today. They won their 4-ball match comfortably this morning, a 4-2 victory, but they're now 4 down with 8 to play, and you've got the added pressure of holes running out really quickly. Reaction from the Europeans, and there's a little bonus. We weren't expecting that, but we'll take it. It's all cream now for the Europeans as they march towards yet another victory in this competition as we head to the par 3 11th.
Yeah, and you can see right around 170 yards today. Again, another green that sits diagonally to the player. Certainly the 2 bunkers on the left, they should not be in play. And just a little short of the flagstick here, maybe a little right. That's what Stenson and Rose, they're thinking about when they start discussing this shot. Rickie Fowler and Dustin Johnson, they have one option left. Fire at every flag and hope that it works out, and hope that you can somehow get to the 18th hole.
Well, it's not a golf course where you can overpower it.
Nope.
So you have to be precise with your iron play, and we find ourselves here at 170 yards, a mid to short iron, highly likely an 8 iron for these guys, maybe a 9 for Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, I would say 8 iron would be the club of choice, and you can see Justin Rose again going through that familiar rehearsal. With this club, certainly you would think that it would be at the flagstick, but I would think that a little short and a little right would be ideal.
Just drive a stake through the heart.
A little short, a little right, money.
Isn't Rosie feeding off this? He's needed this after the disappointing loss in his morning 4-ball match against John Rahm, where they led the entire way until that final hole. Not much Dustin Johnson can do other than what you suggested, and that's take dead aim.
He likes it, and he should. And now, bad spot.
Yeah, out of sync. Team USA. It's all Europe as we step away for a quick break. Back with more from the 42nd Ryder Cup from Paris. Back on Ryder Cup Live here on RyderCup.com, and Sergio Garcia for yet another birdie. That'd be 4 in a row. And he banks it. So the man who is the youngest ever participant in Ryder Cup history, the age of 19, continues to help Alex Noren to a 5-up advantage through 7. In fact, the American combination of Mickelson and DeChambeau have just bogeyed the par 3 8th. So they might be 6 down through 8 in the moment, but it is all Europe this afternoon as they're looking to get a whitewash. And here is Zach Wasink on Twitter. And he gives it a little, well then. Boy, that escalated quickly, the old Ron Burgundy line. And he's right. It's how quickly it can turn here. Billy Cratchit?
I kind of thought that there was going to be a little bit of a turnaround with this format. I did not see just an onslaught going forward. Stenson, Rose, 4 up. And as you predicted, Garcia, Noren, with that bogey, they go to 6 up.
So you watch
Molinari and Fleetwood are 3 up.
needing this birdie putt here at 11, and that scoots by. So with the Europeans in tight, looking to go 5 up.
Well, the way things are going right now, everyone's going to be in for an early dinner.
And in match play, more than stroke play, momentum becomes the determining factor. The Americans had it this morning in the 4-ball matches. They were able to snatch points when it looked like they were going to lose matches, and they led 3-1. But here we are now, by the end of day 1, the Europeans could be leading 5-3, and that's significant.
Now, does that put more pressure from a psychological standpoint on the American team tomorrow morning, knowing that they need to go out there and at least duplicate what they did this morning in order just to stay in touch with the European team? Because the European team, in my opinion, in foursomes, is just so good. Oh, he thought he made it. He actually thought he made it. I must admit, I thought he made it as well.
So the chance to go 5 up on their terms slides by, and now Dustin Johnson needs this to stay 4 down with 7 to play.
Yeah, and didn't hit a good putt on the 10th hole, Luke.
That was very defensive, wasn't it? It was a hoping it went in more than a positive in the back of the cup stroke. And he's been struggling somewhat with a putter. As we mentioned, he went to that left-hand low putting style just randomly midway through the second round of the Tour Championship. It was not something he'd practiced, he'd not rehearsed, he just decided, and then he thought, well, let's run with it.
Well, he's a guy that likes to tinker. Yeah, like, he'll try new drivers out, he'll try new wedges, he'll try new putters.
Another one slides by. It's been death by 1,000 cuts for the Americans, and well, the bogeys keep showing up on the scorecard, and they keep dropping holes. It's now 5 down with 7 to play. This could be a drubbing for the ages. And they're not the worst off. Mickelson, DeChambeau 6 down through 8. To the 12th.
Well,
there's not many left.
You can do the math. 5 up with 7 to play. All you need to do is hang on for 3 holes, and little dog leg to the right. Again, 432 yards. It's a hole that certainly a driver not required. Again, you have a green that sits up from the fairway level.
Well, if anything can be a positive for Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler, is that they have just lost 5 of the last 7 holes. They need to win 5 of the last 7 holes to get a half point out of this match. So a momentum shift has to come here.
Along with the momentum shift, better ball striking needs to happen as well. Because you're not going to all of a sudden capture 5 of the last 7 holes with the way that you're hitting them, striking the golf ball. You're not going to make Stenson and Rose flinch with the ball striking.
Well, to your point about how well the Europeans have been playing foursomes, full stop in the history of the Ryder Cup, but just here, Stenson and Rose even par through 11 holes. McIlroy, Poulter even par through 9 holes. Garcia, Noren astonishingly 4 under through 8. And Molinari, Fleetwood a couple under through 7. So not one of the European teams over par.
Yeah, he's really looking at that hard, and that one hit softly, and it's going to be in that little step cut of rough. Perfect.
Another factor here at Le Golf National, a lot of shaped holes, so there's always hitting to the corners, hitting to the dog legs, and you just don't want to go through fairways because either water or thick rough awaits. And now Mick Fowler steps up with another fairway metal.
You can take it down the left-hand side and be fine, but... Okay. A little more positivity there.
Well, they need every bit of it, the Americans. 5 down with 7 to play in this opening foursomes match. Can they make a move? It's got to happen now. We'll be back with more in a moment. Back live with the 42nd Ryder Cup matches, and if you are a fan of Team USA, you're doing it tough. 4 blue flags, and mostly emphatically here in the afternoon foursomes matches. Our featured group of Stenson Rose 5 up with just 7 holes to go over Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler, who won their 4-ball match over McIlroy and Torbjorn Olesen this morning. But right through it is difficult. There's been a lot of talk about the foursomes dominance for Europe, particularly on European soil. Have a look at this dating back to 2006 at the K Club. They lead all 4 here. They're looking at a whitewash in the afternoon today. 2014, they got 6 points to the positive. Glen Eagles just 1 up. 2010, and then 06 it was a couple. So foursomes is where they seem to do most of their damage, Billy Cratson.
Yeah, and you can see leading in all 4 matches, but you look at the team of Dustin Johnson, Rickie Fowler, they've made 5 bogeys today. Bubba Watson, Webb Simpson, they've made 4 bogeys in a row. Mickelson, DeChambeau, they've made 4 bogeys. And even Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, even though they've made just the 1 bogey, Fleetwood and Molinari have made a couple of birdies. So no American team is under par.
Or par.
Or par.
Just par for that matter, which is exactly where Stenson and Rose find themselves. But they're 5 up, playing their approach into the par 4 12th. Challenging shot, this one.
Well, it's challenging, but if you're Justin Rose, you see that flag stick and you see the crane right there. You kind of want to be at that crane.
Playing from a slight upslope, ball can and will head left.
And that's about the only place you couldn't miss it. That's a mistake that they really haven't made. They haven't made a mental mistake today. That's the first mental mistake.
Just 25 feet right to your point. It was a no harm done shot. You just keep the pressure on the Americans to have to hit lights out shots which just haven't been in their armour.
Yeah, you just don't want to give a hole away. Yeah, you're 5 up. Just don't give a hole away. Don't give the Americans any hope.
Another feature here of Le Golf National. It's tough to get an even lie. It's a ball below feet situation for Dustin Johnson here to a hole location which would really favour a draw approach, making this shot even tougher.
Well, the fact that the wind is coming from the right so strongly, you can see the flag stick blowing hard right to left. It's going to be a little bit easier for DJ to try to work it in there in that direction, right to left.
A bit more watchful. Just when they needed a shot to make a statement, they make an error, coming up just short. And no chance to really build any momentum off inspired play. But tricky conditions, Billy. It's got to be said that this golf course is playing hard. It plays hard in the Open that they play the French Open here in June anyway. And the golf course is set up tougher. It's not an easy golf course.
No, it's not. And everyone said, leading up to the Ryder Cup this year, that this was going to be a very demanding golf course. And it's certainly proven out to be that way.
This is the other factor, the European crowd. And here's Dwight Freeney enjoying his very first Ryder Cup. He said, let's go, boys, bring it home. But at the moment, it's going the other way. Look at him, soaking it in, all the atmosphere. Had a good morning. It's been all Europe this afternoon.
Very much so. And I actually think that the two shots right here, I think the tougher is going to be for Fowler, because he's having to contend with that wind, even though it's a short shot, contend with the wind that's going a little right to left, and about right there, there's enough tilt coming off that left-hand side. It may kick it a little bit to the right, whereas Team Europe, the shot for Stenson, he's going to be going more up the hill and directly back into the wind.
A delightful little chip. It's needed. Not sure if that's a gimme yet, considering the way the Americans have been on the greens. But it looks to be...
I'll be surprised if it is.
At least a par for Team USA, which they'll need here. So it's over to Henrik Stenson, who's only had one little chip shot to play. That was back at the 9th, and he hit it around 12 feet beyond the cup, and this is not a comfortable shot by any stretch. Ball sitting down a little. It's downhill to the hole once he gets onto the green, and not much green to work with.
You can see just how much he's opening the club face up, and you just try to fire that right hand right underneath and try to keep that face pointing towards the sky. But to execute the shot properly, you've got to have plenty of speed.
Couldn't have done much better.
Yeah, actually not too bad. That was a little bit of a downhill lie right there. And you'll see players long backswing, short follow through to try to create the speed, try to create spin.
There really is a premium on ball striking here at Le Golf National. Ball in play, ball on the surface in regulation. You take that for 3 days here at the Ryder Cup and you will be a dominant force.
Bubba Watson, Webb Simpson just made birdie.
If they can get a half point or even a win out of that match, that would completely change the dynamic of what we've been witnessing over the last hour and a half.
Yeah, that would be.
Because you match up
that would
a
be
3-1 win in the morning to a 3-1 loss in the afternoon. We're all square through day one. No trouble.
Yeah. The proverbial rabbit out of the hat, that's exactly what that would be. I mean, you're coming off 4 bogeys, and then all of a sudden you birdie the 11th hole. But this is the same situation that we had at the 9th hole, where Stenson hit it about 12 feet beyond the hole. Rose had the putt for par to have the hole, and he flushed it.
Well, if he makes this, you've got to say that that'll be the death knell. To stay 5 up. They've given Team USA a chance. We're having a little look at DJ going to put his ball down, and they're making him putt this, and for a very good reason, Billy Cratton.
Yeah, you can see the left-hand low, but that, you can see the putter blade go straight up in the air, a little bit of a hook there, and then on the previous hole, fires it through the break, so he has not seen any short putt go in the hole.
Cuts for the Americans. And, well, at the moment, they're 5 down, and we've had a couple of movie references. We've had Ron Burgundy, we've had Top Gun, and maybe a bit of Dumb and Dumber. Lloyd Christmas. So you're telling me we're a chance? If he makes this, I'll be 4 down with 6 to play, but he hasn't seen a putt go in today. You can bank that one though. So off a par, the Americans now bridge the gap by a hole. And there's a little bit of momentum shifting. We've seen Bubba and Webb make a birdie on the previous hole, and the match behind them, and now they win a hole. It's a chance for them to try and feed off something. So this is Tommy Fleetwood back at the 8th. This is just to halve the hole. So is this the momentum shift we were thinking for the United States? So Spieth and Thomas win that hole with a par. So they're now just 2 down. And here is Webb. What a tee shot that was for Bubba to knock it into a few feet of par 3.
Perfect hole location on the right-hand side. You can loop it in there left to right. Loves that. And I agree with you, Luke. If the American team can go 3-1 this afternoon.
Down. Yeah, they'll see that as a win.
It is a victory.
Yeah.
To go into tomorrow's competition 4-4.
I'm going to throw it even more. I'm be the eternal optimist here for Team USA as we take a look at the 13th hole, this par 4, is that if that bottom match gets up as well, they could actually halve the session, which would be enormous.
Well, you are the optimist. But the 13th hole has plenty of water on it, off the tee to the right, and then, of course, short of the green here. Again, another big green, and you know, not much movement with the interior. You have a little bit off the back right, but 413 yards. You're just trying to put the ball in the fairway again, and right now, that is the prime consideration for the American team. Is you have to put the ball in the fairway and give your teammate a chance to hit it close and make birdie. I mean, when I look at Dustin Johnson, Rickie Fowler, they haven't made a birdie today. They've made 4 bogeys. They've won 1 hole, and they won that with a par. They have not made a birdie today.
Had their best chances at 8 and 9, so
9,
it's
right.
come a little later in the match, and maybe after just finally getting the honour back, they can do something with it.
Starting to get a little bit cooler. You can see Dustin Johnson put it on the outerwear a little bit.
But putting it in the fairway, and that is so important here at the 13th, as much as any hole on the golf course.
Oh, absolutely. And down the right-hand side, now you've created a little bit of an angle into the hole location.
And for the first time since they took the ascendancy on the 5th, the Europeans have actually had to feel a little bit of the pressure come back on their shoulders. How will Rose and Stenson respond?
Just such a tactician on the golf course. I mean, so far as being able to go with the proper strategy, he may not hit the golf shot required, but it's not because it was the wrong strategy.
Come on, Henrik. Come on, Europe. Come on, Europe.
Just trying to hang on a little bit, Luke.
Well, that's missed the fairway to the left and a long way back, so the Americans starting to make a little shift here. Hope you're enjoying all the action from the 42nd Ryder Cup from the Golf National in France. The 2019 PGA Teaching and Coaching Summit, presented by Omega, will take place this January in Orlando, Florida. Don't miss your chance to learn from and interact with over 45 of the biggest names in teaching and coaching. Visit pga.com/summit to learn more on how you can attend this incredible event. Highly likely that you'll see our very own Michael Breed in action there as well. He and Brian Catrick took you through all the Four-ball matches this morning. I'm Luke Elvey, delighted to be joined by Billy Kratz this afternoon as we take a look at the foursomes matches, and it's been all Europe for about 2 hours, but just in the last half an hour there's been a little momentum shift towards the Americans, and here we are watching Europe play their approach into the par 4 13th. Just slightly behind the 8-ball here, Billy Kratz. Is this the shift needed?
Well, the shift has to continue to be so monumental, and you can see what's in front of Stenson right here. They're still 4 up. That's the whole deal.
It's a big buffer in any match.
I mean, they just need to somehow figure out a way to have 3 holes.
But just lost the last. Out of the rough. Water to cover the whole way on the approach here. And a par 5 coming up next. Is this the chance to shift? Well, there you go.
And I think this is a smart play. You just go ahead and work your way down the fairway.
Well, that says everything there. Just how challenging that approach shot was. And they're also putting it on the table for Fowler and DJ and say, well, you've got to go and make your birdie. We're making you try and make your birdie because we feel this is our best way to make par. That's playing with your lead.
100%. You're 4 up. Last thing you want to do is really do something foolish. Is now Fowler trying to go flag hunting here.
Oh, and does. Threw it all over it.
So now, all of a sudden, maybe a 2-putt gets it to just 3 down and still smiling.
Well, it's incredible how much we see it in match play, isn't it? Really, they've had nothing to be joyful about in this afternoon's match, and yet here they are taking advantage of a drop shot back at 12 by the Europeans. They got just a glimmer of hope. They win here at 13, the par 5 next, and let's be honest, being 2 down with just a few to play, with all the momentum.
This man right here, every time he's needed to hit a clutch shot with wedge in hand, he's come through. I mean, his distance control has been just on the money.
And another example of that. Inside 10 feet. So Stenson will have that left for par for Team Europe. But a birdie putt coming up for the Americans here at the 13th. And, well, I don't want to get overly positive, but Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau have just won their first hole. A little birdie at the par 4 10th, and they're now 6 down with 8 to play. But it's certainly headed in the Americans' favour.
They've made a birdie. We have on our leaderboard, as we look at our leaderboard right here, you know, I'm looking at the birdies made. Most of the birdies made are by the European team. There are 2 teams for the United States team that have not made birdies. Rickie Fowler and Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. They've yet to make a birdie. Mickelson and DeChambeau made their first birdie, and Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson have only made 2 birdies, but they've combined that with 5 bogeys.
Yeah, and it's certainly been the disappointing aspect of this afternoon's matches for Jim Furyk's men, is that it's really been their poor play more than the inspired play of the Europeans that's allowed momentum to shift towards the host nation. But here it is for Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler, this birdie look here at the 14th, one of the feature holes on the course. You pour this one in, go to the par 5 next. Just maybe.
And I don't, as I look at this, I don't think anyone would have been able to beat Garcia and Noren today with the way that they played. I mean, they've just been In fact, they've just made their first bogey, but
they're 4 under through 10 holes in foursomes. That's
that's
going to win anything.
spectacular.
Yeah. Much harder of the two formats because it's just alternate shot. Now Dustin Johnson getting a good look at this. Fowler went in to have a little look at the line as well. But with no confidence in this club at the moment for Dustin Johnson, although he did make that 3-footer to get the win at the last. Can he feed off it? Because you don't want to give Henrik Stenson a chance to make the half with his par putt. You don't want to give him the chance.
Absolutely not, especially with the way that his confidence has grown with the putter throughout this match. He started off a little shaky, but then you make a couple, not only to win the hole, but to have a hole, and then you could just see it elevate. You could see the way that he was carrying himself around the green and reading putts, and I thought a big factor lending itself to Stenson putting better was the fact that Rose went in there, put his arm around him, read the putt with him, and he made those putts, and then all of a sudden it was magic.
Well, for their first birdie of the day coming here at the par 4 13th to go 3 down. Right in the heart. So here comes Team USA. Lucky 13 if you don't mind. And the momentum certainly heading back in the Americans' favour. They head to the par 5 next, Billy Cratchit. Lloyd Christmas, he's more than 1 in a million chance. It's starting to look like 1 in 100.
DJ starting to clap the hands.
Well, let's head back to the anchor match, and this is Justin Thomas playing his 4th shot. So the par 5 not taking advantage, and that was maybe a little bit of meat on the bone. This has been an Achilles heel for Jordan Spieth this season, to stay 2 down. Up and out of it straight away. Well, so whatever advantage they thought they'd got back there in that final match has just been lost at the turn. So I've said it again, Molinari and Fleetwood back to 3 up with 9 to play. 6 up, Garcia and Noren. A couple up for McIlroy and Poulter. And now just 3 up with Johnson and Fowler after they won the last 2 holes. It's not done with yet. Doesn't look good, but it's not done with yet.
Oof. That is one steep hill to climb. I mean, 3 up, 2 up, 6 up, 3 up.
Now let's take a look at this par 5 14th hole.
Just 529 yards, but you can see just a little bit of shifting in the fairway. This is a par 5 that good tee shot players will go in here with a good look at making 3. If they can put the ball in the fairway, they should be able to put an iron in their hand, second shot. But again, you have the drop off to the right. And finally, being able to hit driver.
And does this hole suit the shot shape of Rickie Fowler?
Absolutely. Perfectly.
You got this.
Well, that's the one mistake you can't make. Had to put the ball in the fairway. And now Stenson, we're seeing something we don't see very often.
First driver from him today.
But just when Team USA looked like they'd been getting some of the advantage, a moment to keep the pressure on, and it just allows Stenson to be a little bit more comfortable over this tee shot, knowing that if they win this hole, they've got them Dormy 4.
Oh, fierce oracle!
That's right of Rickie's ball, so that should be ideal.
So, Team Europe back in the fairway, and here's Rickie Fowler's reaction after a poor tee shot, which was critical in their match, and he knows it. Let's see if Team USA can respond after this quick break. Welcome back to Ryder Cup Live. It's all Europe this afternoon in the afternoon foursomes, but there has been just the slightest of momentum shift in the favour of Team USA, particularly in our featured match, as Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler have won the last two holes to go 3 down with 5 to play. However, par 5 14th, they've just driven it in the left rough. Bubba Watson, Webb Simpson, the closest to couple down with 6 to play against McIlroy and Poulter. It's an old-fashioned hammering in the match with Garcia and Noren. And then Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, who won their point this morning, down 3 heading into the second night against Molinari and Fleetwood, who have been brilliant for Captain Bjorn on day 1 of this 42nd Ryder Cup. But Billy, just how big a mistake was that by Fowler off the tee here at the par 5?
Well, it certainly takes going for the green out of play for Dustin Johnson, unless he just happened to draw just a fantastic lie. And it's tough to force the issue out of this rough. Now you're looking at, I need to make no more than 4, especially with the drive that Stenson hit for Justin Rose.
And it was a drive too, not the 3 metal that we're used to. So looks like Rosie's going to go for the green.
And again, you can see on top of the grandstands behind the green, that wind blowing hard right to left. That one's going left. Watch out left. Oh. Hit a little soft, but it's not as far left as I think Justin thought it was.
It's not penal left, is it?
No.
And yep, that whole location is cut up on that front right shelf. So Dustin Johnson just playing the layup shot. And easy to dictate that decision given maybe A, the lie, and B, the shot by Justin Rose.
At least now you have a chance. I mean, where the European team is positioned, that's going to be a tough up and down, because you can see that whole location around the front nose.
And you can sense that Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler know that, because they just had a little, come on mate, little fist bump, you can do it. Let's get a wedge in tight here, I'll make another one for us. And a birdie's going to be tough to come by for Rose and Stenson. And all of a sudden, as I mentioned, 2 down with 4 to play, not nearly as tough as 5 with 7, which seemed almost insurmountable. The other big advantage that Europe had was Sergio Garcia and Alex Noren looking for a par here. They were 7 up at one stage. But a short miss by Garcia there at the 11th, and that's back-to-back bogeys. So Phil, for his par at the par 3, gets one to go. So all of a sudden, Team USA now picking up a few holes in that match, and they're 5 down with 7 to play, which was a similar scenario to what Fowler and Johnson had.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that Garcia and Noren, ball strikers, it's just a matter of time. Mickelson, DeChambeau, I mean, they're streak players. And streak players, are they going to hit a streak right now? They hope so, but you're still going to have to fight the consistency of Garcia and Noren continually putting that ball in front of you in the fairway and on the green.
But just positive momentum is what it's all about. And Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler have a bet here. Can he hit one in tight and give a gimme birdie putt to his partner?
Short iron in hand. You can see the wind right to left. That's a beauty. That is an absolute beauty right there.
Starting to hit the golf shots when it matters. They had none of this on the front nine. And after picking up their first birdie at the last, a chance for back-to-back birdies, and it's all starting to feel like Team USA got a bit of advantage, but the European home fans really trying to get behind their side and bring them home. No advantage though, any better than 3 down for any US team, and that's imposing with the hole starting to run out.
I don't know what's more impressive, the score of having a 3-up, a 3-up, a 5-up, and a 4-up lead for the European team, or the fact that the European team had the resilience and the confidence to come out in this foursomes and know that they were going to win the session.
Well, it isn't done and dusted yet, but the way it's looking after McIlroy and Poulter just birdied par 4 13th behind this grouping to get back to 3 in front. In fact, that's been the biggest lead they've had of the match after losing the opening hole. They were 2 down through 5, so it's been a big shift here over Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson. But we're seeing a little shift of our own in our featured match, and this is what Henrik Stenson has in front of him, who isn't the better of the 2 pitchers of the ball.
Yeah, and as I take a look at it, there's a little bit of a low area right in this area right here. That's kind of a low area, which he has to avoid. So it looks like to me he's taken enough of a lofted club that he's going to kind of go upstairs with it.
With the Americans inside 10 feet, a lot of pressure on the shoulder here of the 42-year-old Swede.
He took it all out of play. He took that low area all out of play.
Well, that's the shot right there. That'll be the moment that should close out this match, because that'll be a gimme birdie. And if Dustin Johnson does not make 3 down with 4 to play, they'll be 4 down with 4 to play if they miss. That's the moment. How good was that, Chip?
Well, just taking all of that out of play, you can see the contact and then the spin. He doesn't get enough credit for the way that he pitches the ball around the green.
Justin Rose coming over to give him a quick note of congratulations. That was a golf shot when it was required. So now it's over to Dustin Johnson to make a putt after Fowler hit one inside 10 feet. But on the table is the positive vibe that he's made the last 2 he's had to hole. But this is just a half the hole.
I don't see a lot of break in this putt.
For consecutive birdies and to stay 3 down with 4 to play. He's coming alive now, isn't he? He needed to.
You may not win the match, and probably are not, but the fact that you've made a little bit of a comeback, and that's a little bit of a mini victory for Fowler and Dustin Johnson.
And they still have a chance to win the match. 3 down with 4 to play. There's enough holes left here. So they have the honour as they stride up the hill to 15. Another short par 4, but why don't we head back to the group behind us. Rory McIlroy, Ian Poulter, who have started to really take control of their match against Bubba Watson and Webb Simpson. This is Bubba for birdie at the short par 4, 13th. He's really enthused to be back in the team after missing out at Hazeltine, and now Poulter. And this is what he does in Ryder Cups. Does this look familiar? Have we seen this before?
Many, many times.
Has anyone played with more passion than Ian Poulter in Ryder Cups?
It has been amazing. When you look at what he does in team competition, in match play golf tournaments, he is pretty much always there. He just has that ability to really tune it in for this style of play.
Well, there are the leads to Team Europe, and look, it's very positive for European fans, but there's a glimmer of hope, particularly in this first match, as the momentum has shifted to the American team, who've won 2 of the last 3 holes to give themselves a chance of a remarkable comeback victory. You'd think it's going to be a gap too far for the other matches, but you just never know. Let's take a look at this par 4, 15th.
Well, again, as you said earlier, of the 18 holes, water is on 10 of them. And when you look at 15, 16, 17, 18, these are 4 really tough holes. And the 15th hole, got to put the ball again in play, and then pretty much the second shot surrounded by water. And you have to be right, and with these wind conditions, the strength of it, you have to be on the mark.
Golf?
Little disturbance here for Dustin Johnson as player or someone attached to this match just strode right out of the middle of the fairway, but they've now been cleared away and
might have been surprised that the match has come
this far. Well, it's been a great effort by the Americans, and can DJ feed off it. He's started to putt beautifully. He's trying to get a ball in play.
You can see just how hard the wind is blowing, and even though that's a one-handed finish, that's going to wind up in the fairway.
It's a long way back, though, to a green that's surrounded by water.
It is. And I think this is a little aggressive right here.
Playing just a tick under 400 yards this afternoon, and well, this golf club can go close to 270, 280 into this breeze. That'll leave them just inside 120 yards for approach into the breeze.
Well, if he can, if he gets somewhere around 260 with this wind, you're going to have less than 130 yards. Ooh.
That's heading right.
Nice little cut shot. No, that's pretty good.
And that right down the middle. So the Europeans taking a little advantage back up the fairway here on the 15th, but the Americans hanging tough, 3 down. Shop online at pga.com for the best selection of official Ryder Cup apparel and merchandise. Go to pga.com. A blustery afternoon here at Le Golf National in Paris, France for the 42nd Ryder Cup, and there's been a little resurgence by Team USA, particularly in our opening foursomes match. Fowler and Johnson coming off consecutive birdies, 3 down, 4 to play, but a long way back in the fairway here at the par 4 15th. And a fair bit of water in play. Billy Cratchit.
Yeah, and being 3 down, really, your options are just the one. You've got to go ahead and fire at this flag stick, and you can see how brisk the wind is right now. And you have to find a way to put pressure on the European team, because really they're going to play beyond the flag stick here. That needs to go.
Oh, we got there on the surface, but a lengthy birdie attempt for Dustin Johnson coming up. Haven't hit the golf shots that they've wanted this afternoon. The team that won 4-2 over McIlroy and Ollison this morning in 4-ball competition. And it has been the definitive pair of Stenson and Rose for Europe, who have been so brilliant in the last 3 Ryder Cups in team competition.
Well, and you look at the fact that Stenson and Rose, even though they kind of struggled at the beginning, especially with Stenson and the putter, they had a rhythm about it. They were never in danger of not being in control. At least that's the way it appeared to me.
And now with the chance to close out the match here, if they can knock it in tight and confirm the birdie.
I would be shocked if this shot is right of the flag stick.
We saw Stenson hit a supreme little pitch shot at the last to confirm a birdie. Just outside 120 yards.
Ooh, he delivered the club late. And got very, very lucky. You could see him try to save that right at the end, and he knows he got away with it.
Again, the smiles start to return to the faces of the Americans and their caddies, because they know they've been given another opportunity here. That's Justin Rose.
This green is so tiered.
Yes, we saw an incredible moment this morning with Tony Finau hitting it off the railing and getting it, one of the pylons, and getting it to about 3 feet, and that helped he and Brooks Koepka snatch a point in the morning 4-ball. But this is what's between Dustin Johnson and a birdie here at 16, and a must-make birdie to have any hope of snatching a half point in this match. So we're 5 down with 7 to play.
Yeah, looking outside right. It's got to go.
Well, that's disappointing to say the least. When you must make and you leave it short, cardinal error. He knows it. It's not been his best golf over the last month.
Well, and you could hear him, or you could, if you could read lips right there, he said, "My bad," and that's the tough thing about the Ryder Cup, is that you feel that way when you don't convert or execute the shot properly. You feel bad because you have that feeling of letting your teammate down.
Well, this is the position that everyone wants to be in. 2 putts to close out the match. 1 to do it in style.
This one will crawl to the hole. Done. Match over.
So the combination of Justin Rose and Henrik Stenson continues to be prolific for Team Europe. That's their 5th victory in 7 appearances together, dating back to 2014. And a lovely embrace for the opening group for Captain Bjorn. So now, after that 3-2 victory, Europe are now only a point behind in this Ryder Cup, but with 3 points up for grabs behind them. That was very impressive. Billy Kratz, we will step away, come back, wrap up the highlights of this match, and keep you updated on what's to come here on RyderCup.com. So there's still 3 matches out on the course here, and trying to stay alive is the combination of Mickelson and the rookie DeChambeau. Here's Mickelson for a rare birdie back at 13, and that was a must-make. So they are now 5 down with 5 to play, but it's not good news in this anchor match with Jordan Spieth on the tee here at 13.
Yeah, you can see he hates it. That one finds the hazard down the right-hand side.
And 3 down in that match, likely to go 4 down. So it is not looking good for the Americans this afternoon, as Europe eyeing their first whitewash in foursomes competition in the history of the Ryder Cup. This is the 42nd edition. You've got Simpson and Watson there. Dormy, they can only get a half point out of the match. Dormy for Mickelson and DeChambeau. Thomas and Spieth up against it. It's been a definitive performance by the Europeans.
Yeah, the American team hurt themselves by not making birdies. They got behind in the matches early, and then the Europeans, they just kept pouring it on, keep coming. They kept coming, and at one point, Garcia and Noren, they were 4 under par, or 5 under par in their match against Mickelson and DeChambeau. But all in all, it was just a wonderful performance by the Europeans after the morning.
Certainly has been. It's been much needed. We'll be back to wrap up this entire afternoon session in just a couple of moments. Stay with us here on Ryder Cup Live. Well, it's been a prolific performance by the host team, the Europeans, this afternoon in the foursomes matchups at Le Golf National. They've just banked their first point, and they're trying to close out the final 3. They're in pretty strong positions to do so. As we welcome you back into our Ryder Cup Live studios to wrap up what's been a very impressive performance. Luke Elvey alongside Billy Kratzett, and a statistic was just handed to us in the ad break there, Billy. Of the front 9 holes here in this afternoon, Europe won 18 of them, the US just 3. That's going to win any match, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, especially in this format, foursomes. If you don't catch a rhythm early, it's going to be tough to kind of capture that rhythm as you go through, the final parts of the match. But we saw Dustin Johnson and Rickie Fowler kind of catch fire and cut into the lead, but the damage had already been done. And those numbers, you attach the numbers to the play, I mean, that tells the whole story.
Well, it looks like what was a 3-1 advantage to Captain Furyk after the morning session will end up a 2-point deficit at the end of day 1. So Thomas Bjorn's men will be leading 5-3 if everything stays as is. You're Captain Furyk. What do you do for tomorrow morning?
Well, I look at the 4-ball, and I put Koepka and Finau back out, and I'm going to go ahead and keep all the pairings that I had together.
Even Tiger, because he looked a little tired.
I would rest Tiger one more day. Just one more session, and then get him ready for the afternoon session tomorrow, and then for the singles match. But I think going forward, you're going to have to mix Reed in with maybe Thomas or something like that. But I would definitely keep Koepka and Finau together. They beat a very strong Rahm and Rose team this morning, and just hope for the better, because the U.S. team is going to be stronger in 4-ball than they are in foursomes.
Well, they're going to have to make up a 2-point deficit, you would imagine. So stick with us here on RyderCup.com to get information from the captains about the morning 4-ball matchups. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, plus how these matches finish up this afternoon. As we mentioned, Team Europe looking dominant in the remaining 3 matches out on the golf course. But on behalf of Billy Kratzett, I'm Luke Elvey. We urge you to come back tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. for those morning 4-ball matches. Brian Catrick, Michael Breed will have the call. But on behalf of our very hard-working crew of producer Matt Kane, director Darryl Marshall, I'm Luke Elvey saying see you tomorrow.